Hi, my name is David. I'm 55 years old and would like to talk to everyone today about my experiences with PVCs. Uh, this is just my story. I want to say right up front, I'm not a doctor. Don't take my medical advice. This is just my story of my PVCs that might help a few of you, or even if it only helps one person, great. Uh, if you're watching this video, then you probably already know what a PVC is. Uh, and if you suffer from them, you know how scary they can be. Some people have them and don't feel them. Some people are extra super sensitive, which is in my case I was. I felt each and every one. And sometimes they're very, very forceful. I mean, they'll stop you dead in your tracks. And not only on top of all that, but they'll scare the crap out of you. Uh, anyway, I apologize for the quality of the video. I'm using this on my webcam on my laptop. Other than that, I'll start with the first PVC that I remember having was in 1984. Didn't know what it was. I just felt it, felt weird and worried. As most people, if something happens, you kind of worry what's going on. Anyway, I would have one about every 6 months, and I knew what that feeling was, just didn't know what it was. So in 1997, I was on about 2 or 3 different medications, and I went to the doctor. I don't remember. I had a sinus infection or something. I don't remember what it was, and he gave me some kind of medicine. I can't even remember what it was. Excuse me. And I took that medicine, and within a few hours, I started having that feeling that I had been feeling all these years, every 6 months. And I go, hey, that's the same feeling I have. But I was having it like every, minute or so. And I didn't know what it was. And so I thought, well, I'm going to feel my pulse. So I felt my pulse. And every time I had that PVC, I felt, I could feel that my heart was skipping a beat. That's how I learned what a PVC was. I called the doctor and told him what was going on. He said, quit taking the medicine. I quit taking the medicine, and they were gone the next morning, never to come back for that cause anyway. Right around the year 2000, I had been drinking quite heavily, quite a bit, but I ate right. I smoked, I drank, and right around 2000, this is when my story starts. I was a plumber and went to eat lunch one day, and about 30 minutes after I got through eating, I started having them PVCs, and I knew what they were because I had experienced them in '97 with that medication. And I had probably 50, 60, 70 within an hour and a half. They went away. Next day, same thing. Ate lunch. Within 30 minutes, right on the clock, they started again. 50, 60, 70. Went away. Not a near one till the next day. Ate lunch. Same thing. This went on for about 3 months, like clockwork. I mean, exactly like clockwork. Then they stopped. And they stopped for a couple of months. Went back eating lunch one day, and about 30 minutes after I started eating, started having them again. Same thing, 40, 50, 60, 70, close to 100 within 2 hours. I would always have them within a 2 hour span, and in the last 30 minutes, they would start slowly going away and be gone, and just kind of puzzled me. And I'm a real curious person anyway. I like to know about everything there is about everything anyway. But at the time in 2000, it was really hard to do any kind of research online. So the one thing that I was thinking in my head was, these happen after I eat. And I do know that when you eat, blood goes, a large portion of your blood will go to aid in digestion. So I thought, well, it must be a blood thing, something in the blood or something. So this went on for a year or so. I went to the hospital. They caught them on, they said, cut out your caffeine, quit smoking, quit drinking, or whatever. I'm going to tell you right now, number one thing I'm going to tell you is caffeine, alcohol, smoking, stress will cause PVCs, but they do not cause you to have 50 to 100 to 2,000 a day. They will not cause that. I did have 2,000 a day. I'll tell you that story here in just a little bit. Anyway, I was I had a web TV at the time, and I was on dial-up and found this PVC support page and posted on there, and everybody was giving all their stories and everything. It made me feel pretty good that I wasn't the only one suffering from them. And I got on there and posted, and I've been posting 2 or 3 days, and I just, for some reason, I'll never forget it. This one guy wrote me a one-word message, and he said magnesium. Why not? I've tried everything else. I go to Walmart, buy me some magnesium. Within 2 days, my PVCs completely 100% stopped. So what I'm thinking is that I had been drinking for a lot of years heavily and depleted my magnesium and replenished it, and that was my problem, the magnesium. So I went PVC free for about 2 years because I took my magnesium supplements. I took about 400 or 500 milligrams a day supplements. Tried to eat foods that had magnesium in them. No PVCs at all for about a couple of years. So I get a little cocky, and I thought, they're cured, so I quit taking my magnesium. And 6 months later, they come back. And I mean, with a vengeance. They start out the same way at lunch. They got to where they were getting worse. They got to where I would wake up and have them the first thing in the morning, and I go, uh-oh, there's something different now. I'm having them in the mornings without even eating now. Then they just kept, every day they would seem like they would get worse, and this went on day after day. And I still wasn't taking my magnesium because I, for some reason, just didn't think that was it. But they just kept getting worse. So I went to the hospital one time, and they watched them on the EKG, and I was having one every 3 or 4 beats all day long. These were happening all day long. So we did the math on them. I was having over 2,000 a day. The doctor at the emergency room told me to cut out my caffeine. I said, I drink a lot of coffee. He said, you need to cut out the caffeine. And I just knew that wasn't right. So I went home, got back on my magnesium, and I went away. It's 2 times magnesium has stopped my PVCs dead in their tracks. Now, in 2006, July of 2006, I didn't have a heart attack, but I did have bypass surgery. My main vessel was blocked. Just had one bypass done. 45 minutes in and out. No pain. Even to this day, no pain. It really is. Bypass surgery, even when they crack your chest open, is just not as bad, at least nowadays, as you think it is. The only pain I ever had was when they took the tubes out right after surgery. That hurt a little bit, and I kind of screamed out. Yes, I was on painkillers, but the thing about it was I went home in 5 days, and I didn't take the painkillers anymore, and I still didn't have no pain. So anyway, I was just, if you've ever had bypass surgery or never had bypass surgery, and you may ever have to have it, it's not as bad as you think it is. Just my personal experience. See, I'll even show you my scar where I had it. It's just about healed right there. That's 7-year scar. Anyway, my story about that one is, the reason I brought that up is because I went in on a Friday, and my surgery was scheduled for Monday morning. Well, they hook you up with an IV. As you know, if you've been in the hospital, they hook you up with an IV, and they put liquids through you. And you got liquids constantly coming to you, and I've got a lot of liquids coming to me, and I'm peeing constantly, and it's washing out my system. And I told the nurse, and I even told my doctor, I said, you're gonna have to give me some magnesium, or I'm gonna start having PVCs, because I already knew that when you wash out your system, or for me, that I'm gonna get PVCs. And Saturday morning, I woke up with PVCs, a lot. Was having them all day long. They were coming up on the graph up there. The doctor saw them, the nurses saw them, everybody saw them. They didn't do anything about it. They just let it ride. Because number one, I don't have a bad heart, so they weren't dangerous, so they weren't too worried about that. But I just didn't, I don't like having PVCs. Nobody does. They're scary. But after I got out of the hospital, I was still having them, quite a few. As soon as I got back home in the hospital, I got back on my magnesium. I might have had my daughter bring me some at the hospital. I don't remember when I got back on them, but the story is that was the third time that it proved to me that magnesium was the cause of my PVCs. So that's my story, and if that can help anybody in any way, I hope I have. If you have any questions, if you want any advice, any help, I'm not a doctor, but I have, especially with my heart surgery, I have done many hours of research, not only on PVCs, PACs, but a lot of studying on heart disease. Any questions you have on heart disease, what stuff you should be taking for to prevent heart disease, and just any question about that. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I have learned quite a bit as spending many hours researching and studying. Short story, I wrote an article back in 2006 and posted it on, back then I think it was MySpace or something like that. I was leaning towards, and not too many doctors were talking about it, but I said, you know what? I told my son this. I said, I have this funny feeling that one of the causes of heart disease is, I think one of the biggest problems may be inflammation. So I wrote an article about it, and about 2008 on MSN headline news, doctors now say inflammation may be the #1 cause of heart disease. David Agus has just written a book, The End of Illness, and his first words when he was being interviewed by Connie Chung was, "We believe now that inflammation is the cause of heart disease." So that, I'm just pointing out that I have done a lot of research, and I try to stay ahead of everything. I'm not a doctor, and I mean, I didn't even graduate high school, so please, you should see your doctor first before taking any of my advice. This is just my story of PVCs and heart trouble. If you have any questions on any subject, any matter, be glad to answer it. Love to have your comments, video comments, written comments. Would love to hear from you. And if you are suffering from PVCs, try magnesium. Couldn't hurt. Good luck, and would love to hear from you. Bye.